People have used the bursary as a political tool. Even when they're campaigning, suddenly you will find certain sentiments that they're saying, if you don't vote for me, then the bursary program will go away. Because maybe that guy is the initiator of that bursary program. And people sometimes, they perish because of lack of information. They believe if I don't vote Chimera, for instance, the bursary program he runs will go under. Yet it is a policy, it is in law. So also the way the bursary program is being administered nationally, it is not streamlined. It is discriminatory in nature. A politician would always want to reward people who supported him in the elections. So there's some kind of tokenism with the whole administration framework of this bursary program. When you look at the way people access this bursary program, first of all, it is quantified. If let's say, and I'll give you a good example. My county government runs a very wonderful bursary program called the Elimu Sasa Initiative, and I'm happy. As a county, we've had many young men and women who in the past couldn't access educational opportunities because they didn't have the fees. But when the former governor, current CS Mvurya, took over in 2013, he had a very brilliant idea towards supporting the needy. But 400 million has been put in place to pay bursaries to students. The requirement is you must have 350 and above for you to access this program. Many students fall below that threshold. What happened to that guy who got 349, 320, 300 and has an admission to a certain school? That tells you he's already automatically cut off. So it doesn't benefit everyone. It is not universal. As opposed to putting money to schools directly and tell people, can you just access education universally? And even the way the whole process is being run, you have 50 million as an MP. You advertise, you give out forms, bursary forms to many people. Not all will get that bursary program. Giving a form, filling the form, and actual getting that bursary is a different story altogether. So we know it doesn't happen. So it's all about balancing the political interest, regionalism, and all that. So we are still, way far much behind. Let me give you a practical example of the figures you're talking about. And it's data, statistical data. Let's say every county runs, and I'm sure every other county, because my county runs about $500 million for bursaries as a program for a year. And it's a small county. If we do by 47 counties, averaging at 500 million, that's around 23, 24 billion of money going towards scholarships and bursaries. If you look at CDF, give them 50 million per constituency, and they are 290. That's roughly another, looking at 2 billion thereabout, roughly. So that's a whole 26.7 billion in form of money that we can put into schools directly and still look for other money where government has money, of course, still the loopholes of corruption, still the loopholes of making sure money is not lost, and have free secondary education at the highest level. It's doable, really. It's doable. We just have to sustain the conversation and change the mentality towards making sure people are so straddled under bursaries that they can't go to school without Chimera giving them support. And I'm not saying it because I feel burdened. No, I am a leader, and I know as a leader I must be able to support my people. But I feel this business, this politics of bursaries, and I'm not saying when we remove bursaries from members of parliament, they will still have money to do roads, for instance, under Kera, what they're doing. They'll still have money to do schools, infrastructure. They will still have money to do police stations. We are not collapsing MGCDF altogether, but we're just moving these funds that are going towards education into making sure education becomes universally free and accessible to everyone. That's my argument. And these are checks that don't bounce. Hii mchakato wote wa swala la basari sio kwa ubaya na sio kwamba napinga viongozi wenzangu, lakini ipo haja ya uongozi uliopo kuhakikisha kwamba mfumo huu umeweza kufanywa kwa njia iliyo safi, iliyo ya sawa na iliyo na haki. Kwa sababu utakuta kila kiongozi ndani ya nchi hii ana mpango wa basari. MCA, mbunge, gavana, women rep, wote wana fedha ambayo inakwenda kusaidia masomo kwa vijana. Lakini bado pia ile fedha haitoshi. Mimi mwenyewe nikiwa seneta mteule bado inafuatwa na wazazi wengi kutoka kaunti yangu na hata kaunti mbalimbali zingine wakiitisha msaada wa karo za shule, na sina hundi, sina CDF, sina ngaf, sina lolote, lakini kwa sababu ya uongozi inanibidi nisaidie, na nimesaidia wengi. Hata hapa niko na stakabadhi ambazo zimeonyesha kwamba ile support nimepeana kwa wanafunzi, nimepeana cheki nyingi shule ya Matuga. Hapa kuna shule ya Kwale, iko shule ya Matuga tena, iko Kenya Institute of Social Education Thika, iko Nanyuki High School, ipo Wa Girls, ipo St Paul's Gekano na nyinginezo KMTC. Wananiomba msaada wa basari. Ikiwa tutaweza kuzungumza na kubaliana kama viongozi, tuweke mfumo ambao fedha zote hizi, ile fedha ya women rep, fedha ya mbunge, fedha ya gavana ambayo inakwenda mpaka kwa MCA, iwekwe pamoja. Hii fedha iende moja kwa moja kwa shule zetu ziweze kupata ufadhili moja kwa moja, ndio wanafunzi wetu wote waweze kupata msaada wa kwenda shuleni, elimu iwe bure. Kwa sababu utapata kwamba ndio yule kijana apate ile basari, aidha anahusiana na mbunge ama women rep ama yule ward administrator kama ni mfumo wa county, ama amepiga mzazi wake amefanya siasa kwa yule kiongozi, na sio sawa. Wanafunzi wengi hawasaidiki. Vile vile ile fedha inapeanwa, kile kiwango ni kidogo mno sana. Utapata mtu ana deni la shilingi 60,000 anapewa basari ya shilingi 8,000 na bado anadaiwa shilingi 60,000. Yule mwanafunzi hawezi rudi shuleni na ile cheki 8,000. Ni lazima asubiri tena Chimera aje asaidie 4,000, asubiri tena mbunge asaidie 3,000, na mbunge atakwambia pesa haijakuja ya basari. Mwisho wa siku yule kijana anakosa kwenda shuleni, anakaa nyumbani, na mwisho wa siku maisha yake ya baadaye yanaharibika. Mimi ni wazo langu tu, ikiwa tunaweza kubaliana kama viongozi na kama wananchi wa nchi tukufu ya Kenya hii, tukae pamoja, tuunde mfumo ambao unaweka fedha yote hii kwa pamoja, na fedha mbalimbali na fedha nyingine ya ufadhili, wale kutoka pande nyingine utusaidie, tuweke mfumo wa fedha moja ili kila mwanafunzi ndani ya nchi hii aweze kupata elimu ya sekondari ambayo itakuwa ni bure. Asanteni. Hata naenda kitu. And these are checks that don't bounce. When you look at what has been proposed from the clerk of the National Assembly, it is fundamentally different from what some of us have understood and are trying to propose. What the National Assembly is trying to propose is the same thing. They are simply saying there is a petition before the High Court in Nakuru, and by the way, that petition it raises very salient issues that every Kenyan must read and understand the petition. It actually goes towards challenging the legality and constitutionality of something called bursaries, especially when counties are giving bursaries, because we know the fourth schedule gives functions. We know Article 186, specifically says who needs to run bursaries and at what level and at what scholarship programs you're doing. So basically, the proposal by the National Assembly is simply saying, let us harmonize the way we have bursary programs under NGCDF. It doesn't talk about making it universally acceptable. It doesn't talk about making education free. It only talks about harmonizing, streamlining. They're giving it very beautiful names, by the way, and adjectives. You streamline, you harmonize, you consolidate NGCDF bursary program. But they are not talking about removing it in totality from the control of a politician called a member of parliament into something else that will directly wire the monies to schools, that schools will never suffer a challenge of capitation, so that students can actually access education in school. That's the point we are fundamentally differing from. But I know I will have a chance to go and put in my views and perhaps propose something that is geared towards making sure education is freely. If we put all this money together into a kit, not necessarily domesticated at the Ministry of Education, but give it to the Treasury, and let us have schools getting these monies directly from Exchequer to go towards funding their capitation needs, and everybody accesses education. We make it free. That's the argument I'm actually bringing forth. Otherwise, we cannot sustain the bursary program as it is today, unless we find a way of streamlining it in a way every Kenyan benefits from real material financial support under a bursary program. You will find a student who has a fee balance of, let's say, Kenya shillings, 50,000 shillings. And the much he can get today, if you're to walk into any MP's office, myself included, will be about 7,000 shillings on the higher side. And the balance is 50,000 shillings. And that person comes, let's say, from a village. He comes from Mtumwa. He lives in Mtumwa, which is the farthest point of Kwale County, to go to the nearest major town, say Mwangulu. He spends about 500 shillings to go, and coming back 500 shillings, so that's 1,000. If you do the math, that particular student has actually earned 6,000 shillings against a fee balance of 50,000 shillings. He still is not able to actually go back to school and study. I will give you a case scenario. I myself, I actually have a program. It's not a program, but the need from the public. They meet me, they say, you're a senator. However, we are nominated, yes, but we still need support in terms of school fees. I have to give them checks, my own personal checks. I have checks here, before you here, from my law firm, Chimera Kamodhan Company Advocates, giving Matuga Girls High School, giving Kwale Girls High School, giving Matuga Girls again, giving Nanyuki High School, you know, and many, many other schools. And it's not so much money, I can tell you. It's about, this is 8,000 shillings, this is about 4,000, you know, I have to really balance.
And this is from your pocket?
This is from my pocket. You can see there's a forwarding letter. It bears my law firm's logo. There is a check. This is a check drawn by Chimera Company Advocates going towards paying fees for students from Kwale County. And they still have access to NGCDF bursaries. They have access to the county government scholarship program. They have access to many other bursary programs. But it is not enough.